Though the creatures of the United Justice Movement had rekindled their purpose and stood united once more, a new storm loomed on the horizon. This storm was unlike the Hydra they had faced before. It was not one single force, but a series of challenges, each weaving into the other like threads in a tangled web. From the north came the Fog of Misinformation, a creeping veil that made it difficult to see what was true and what was false. From the west came the chains of division, whispering lies that threatened to pull the creatures apart. And from the east came the Shadow of Apathy, a quiet but insidious force that drained the will to act. The creatures, now seasoned in struggle, knew they could not face these threats alone. They needed not only to act, but to prepare the next generation of creatures to carry the torch forward. As the leaders of the movement, the ant, the lion, the eagle, the elephant, the wolf, the cheetah, the snake, and the owl stood in council, a young voice broke the silence. It was the voice of a firefly, glowing softly in the dark. "I am small," the firefly said, "but my light can guide those lost in the fog." The creatures turned to the firefly, their eyes wide with hope. "Then let your light lead us," the lion said, "for the fog seeks to blind us, and we will need every spark to find our way." From the crowd stepped a spider, its web shimmering in the early morning light. "I cannot roar or run swiftly," it said, "but I can weave connections that hold us together even when the chains of division try to break us apart." The creatures nodded in agreement, for they knew the spider's web could bind even the most fractured hearts. Finally, a turtle, slow but steady, made its way to the front. "The Shadow of Apathy is a heavy weight," it said, "but I will carry it on my back, one step at a time, and remind the others that even the smallest progress is still progress." The elders of the movement realized that their time as leaders was not eternal. The ant, now weathered from its labor, turned to the firefly. "You must light the way for those who come after us," it said. The lion, its mane touched with silver, roared one last time. "Take my courage and make it your own," it said to the spider. "Your web will hold us together when the forces of division strike." The eagle flew high, circling above, its sharp eyes scanning the horizon. "Watch carefully," it said to the turtle. "Move with purpose and patience, and you will overcome even the deepest shadows." One by one, the elders passed their wisdom to the new leaders, and as the torch was passed, the creatures of renewal, young and eager, stepped forward, ready to take on the challenges that lay ahead. The firefly led the creatures into the fog of misinformation, its soft light cutting through the haze. The spider followed closely, weaving threads that connected the creatures, ensuring none were lost along the way. But the fog was cunning. It whispered lies into their ears. "Your movement is hopeless. You cannot succeed. Turn back now." The turtle, slow but resolute, spoke up. "We move forward, even if the fog slows us. For every step we take, the light grows brighter." The creatures pressed on, guided by the firefly's glow and the spider's web. The fog could not withstand their unity, and as they emerged on the other side, they saw the light of their purpose shining stronger than ever. From the west came the sound of metal clinking, the chains of division pulling at the hearts of the creatures, sowing seeds of distrust. The spider, knowing its role, began to weave a great web that stretched across the land. It connected the creatures to one another, binding their shared purpose into something unbreakable. "Division feeds on isolation," the spider said, "but when we are connected, no chain can hold us." The firefly lit the web, its glow illuminating every strand. The creatures, seeing how they were all tied together, pulled as one, shattering the chains and scattering their broken links into the wind. The final challenge was the Shadow of Apathy, a silent force that drained the will of even the strongest creatures. As the shadow fell over the land, many of the creatures began to feel its weight. "Why bother?" the shadow whispered. "The world will not change." The turtle, slow and steady, took the lead. "Change is not fast," it said, "but every step matters. Even the smallest action can carry us forward." The other creatures watched as the turtle, undeterred by the shadow's weight, continued to move forward. Inspired, they joined the turtle, taking small steps together. Slowly but surely, the shadow began to lift, banished by the collective will of the creatures. With the fog cleared, the chains broken, and the shadow lifted, the creatures stood together once more. They had faced great challenges, but they had learned that the movement was not just about winning battles, it was about continuing the journey. The firefly glowed brightly, its light a beacon for others. The spider's web held the creatures together, a reminder of their unity. The turtle moved forward, slow but sure, carrying the weight of progress on its back. The elders watched from the distance, their hearts filled with pride. The united justice movement had become something greater than any one creature. It was now a living, breathing force carried forward by each generation. And so the creatures continued their journey, knowing that the path would never truly end. There would always be fogs to clear, chains to break, and shadows to lift. But they also knew that they were not alone, and that together they could face whatever came their way. The storyteller closed the book and smiled. "This is your story now," they said. "The creatures have shown the way, but the next chapter is for you to write. What will you do to keep the movement alive?" The firefly's light flickered, the spider's web shimmered, and the turtle's steady steps echoed into the distance. The journey was far from over. It was only beginning. And so, the story continues. Will you take the torch? Will you light the way? The choice, dear listener, is yours.